Starbucks just announced they're shutting down hundreds of stores, and everyone's acting like it's the end of the world. Here's the truth. This happens all the time. Coffee shops open, coffee shops close. So let's take a look at the numbers before we all go panic about Starbucks disappearing from every street corner. Spoiler alert, this isn't nearly as dramatic as it sounds. Closures happen in every coffee chain. Here's what the numbers show from the item 20 of the franchise disclosure documents of a few of their coffee competitors. This is where we can actually find numbers on how many new locations are opening, both corporately owned and franchised, and we can also see how many stores are closing or ceased operations year over year. So Caribou Coffee closed 16 stores last year out of their 487. That's actually a 3.28% closure rate. Scooter's Coffee closed 20 out of 825 stores in 2024. That's 2.42%. Dunkin' had 67 stores close in 2024, 139 in 2023, and 137 in 2022. So, when Starbucks trims its 17,000 plus US stores, the headlines make it sound huge, but in percentage terms, it's actually really normal, less than 1%, well within the industry averages. The US coffee market is packed with brands: Dunkin', Scooters, Tim Hortons, Caribou Coffee, Dutch Bros, and of course Starbucks. Most of these are franchise systems, which means franchisees actually carry the risk of running the store and deciding when it closes. But some major players operate a little differently, and that brings us to a quick trivia break. Which of these chains is not a franchise? Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, Scooter's Coffee, Tim Hortons, or Dutch Bros? Stick around to the end and I'll give you the answer. On September 25th, Starbucks CEO Brian Niccol sent a message to his employees explaining that the company is going to be reallocating resources, streamlining operations, and reinvesting in areas that matter most to the customers. In that letter, he laid out the Back to Starbucks plan. Part of it is closing coffee houses where they can't deliver the atmosphere or financial performance expected, while also uplifting more than 1,000 locations with new designs, better layouts, and more staffing. Niccol emphasized that while closures are painful, Starbucks will still end 2025 with nearly 18,300 locations across North America, and they have plans to grow more in 2026. He also announced the elimination of about 900 non-retail roles with severance and support offered to the affected staff. The message framed these steps as a way to refocus resources on where Starbucks sees the most growth, investing in partner hours, modern store designs, and innovations that create the coffee house of the future. When you zoom out across the full closure list, some states are clearly feeling it more than others. Here's the bigger question though. Would you even want to own a coffee shop? Here's the reality. It can take a full calendar year or more just to open your store. You're investing $500,000 to some of these coffee stores into the millions to get started. You're going to be hiring and managing a very large staff. Your doors open at the crack of dawn and someone has to be even earlier there to prep. And some of these franchises don't even average $1 million in annual gross revenue. Check out the item 19 of the FDDs for that information. So while running and owning a coffee shop sounds like a dream to some, the margins and lifestyle often don't really add up to the way that people expect it to. All right, time for that trivia answer. Which of these coffee chains is not a franchise? Well, the answer is it's kind of a trick question because there's two. Both Starbucks and Dutch Bros. Dutch Bros actually did franchise in the early 2000s, and a few of those stores do still exist in that way, but as of 2025 and for several years, Dutch Bros only opens company-owned locations. And Starbucks no longer franchises in the US either, but they used to back in the 90s, and Magic Johnson was actually their first franchisee with over 100 locations. So no, Starbucks isn't collapsing. These closures are part of normal business in the coffee world. But before you get caught up in the hype of owning a coffee franchise, make sure you understand the costs, lifestyle, and the real numbers. And if you're interested in exploring coffee shops or any other concept, that's exactly what we do here at Franchise Inspectors. Feel free to go to our website at franinspect.com or click the link above, and a reminder that we don't charge anything for our services. So thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content.